Hello class. We didn't have enough time to go over the stretch in place problem today during our lecture. So I figure it'd be better that I make a small recording and explain it a little bit more. So the idea in here is we want to apply the stretch in place in sound to pictures. So picture is 2D, right, instead of 1D. So if you imagine you have a picture and then you have this half point going through it, we want to stretch this shaded area. So this is the y direction, this is the x direction. We want to stretch halfway point of y and x, this shaded area into the entire image. And the way we work on it is very similar to sound. So you can imagine it as stretch kind of in this way. In the y direction, half of the column stretch into the entire column. And similarly, we can stretch half of the row into the entire row. So in class, basically what we did is we say x will start from the end, y will start from the end, and then we'll just copy from the back. So we'll kind of process the image, roughly speaking, over here, right? So this is the starting point. Start point. So we now have a 2D structure instead of 1D, but the idea is very similar. So I would say x equals to this dot get width, right, minus 1. So the last position, x is bigger than or equal to 0, x minus minus. Similarly, y goes from the end, get height, y greater than or equal to 0, y minus minus. So we'll kind of stretch in both directions. In other words, this point over here will go to that point. And as we go through this entire image from the back to the front, basically the source will be x over 2, not here, should be y over 2. So should be y over 2 in here, and the target, the destination is just x and y, right? So roughly speaking, we are copying halfway point for both x and y. So if you do this, if you run this in Dr. Java, you realize that this shaded region is copied to the end point. So it's going to span the entire image. So this is the first part, and the second part, a small exercise for midterm. So I figure I can just talk about it in here. So the idea is you want to write a method in picture class that will take a picture as well as the size. Then it's gonna copy the center of the calling it's gonna copy the center of the pic to the center of the calling object. So this is one of the parameters for the method. So it's gonna give you a picture, right? And then it also has to specify the size. And then we're gonna change the calling object. So the first thing you have to think about is what should be the prototype of my method. So definitely you can call this center copy, for example, center CP, right? It will take two parameters. One is the picture, right? So picture, let's call this pic, and then it will need a size, which is an integer, int size, right? As for what this method need to return, since we are changing the calling object, then it really doesn't need to specifically return something because the calling object will be changed. So it should be void and then public, right? So what do we need to do? Basically, we have to find the starting point in the pic as well as in the calling object. We assume that the size of pic and the size of this are the same. So usually we try to figure out what is the upper left corner of the box, because that's kind of usually our normal starting point. If we think about center, and you have this size in the middle, so if you kind of do some geometry, So this point over here is basically width over 2. Right, so this is the width over 2 point. And if you go half of the size to the left, this will be the x coordinate of this upper left corner. So for example, if you say int width equals to pick dot get width, it's the same if you say this dot get width, because we assume they are of the same size. And similarly, int height equals to pick dot get height. Right, and then you try to figure out a starting point over here. So I would say let's declare a variable int start x. Right, what is the starting location of my x? As we have described, it should be half the width subject half of the size. This will be the x coordinate, so it's width over 2 minus size over 2. Right, for y, start y. This point is height over 2. And if we decrease y by half of the size again, basically we're going to have the start y. So it should be height over 2 minus size over 2. Right, so this is my starting point. And then we just need a single for loop that will take care of both images. So for we're going to use a nested for loop, right? So int x equals to start x. Right. X will go from this upper left corner, and x should be less than until I reach the end of the box over here. So which is kind of width over 2 plus size over 2. The other way to do it is just say start x plus size, right, and then x plus plus. Similarly for y, for int y equals to start y, y is less than start y plus size y plus plus. Right, so inside this loop, all we need to do is to make a copy. So this dot get pixel, I say x and y dot set color. Right, so I want to change this color to be pick dot get pixel. So it's a long line dot get color. So it should be get color. Okay. All right. So then we'll close the nested for loop, and then the entire method is over. I think whenever you are trying to copy an image, you usually have to determine, well, am I trying to copy based on the color, or am I trying to copy based on the location? If you're copying based on the location, it is very important that you know where you start and where you end, right? So I think I just want to explain these two problems since we didn't have enough time during our lecture. Hopefully it's going to make a little bit more sense to you. If you have more questions, contact me. Thank you.